If you want to stay in the same situation, then continue doing what you're doing.
And you guys can get on board and go down this 4-lane highway and just rock it out, and you don't have to have a decade of learning process.
Meet people where they are. If you want to have all types of clients, be a Rubik's Cuber. Meet them where they want to be met.
We have to know our numbers. We have to know how much we want, and then how many deals do I have to close to make that a reality?
What I want to do over the next half hour or so is give you clarity on the items that really are going to generate money for you and allow you to do the things you want to do.
So if you're not currently being coached by the people in the industry that are doing it at the highest level, then you're working too hard to get there.
This is the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast with Kenneth Travis and Sean Zalmanoff.
Hello, everybody. Sean Zalmanoff here with Kenneth Travis and Scott Westlake, delivering you the Next Level Loan Officers Podcast. Gentlemen, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you guys?
Kenneth, how's East Texas treating you this
Man, if we were doing any better, we couldn't stand it. That's how good it is out here. Everybody wants to be Texas, Sean. You know this, man. You know this.
So Scott is a powerhouse originator. His current company is the Westlake team. Scott has built an organization and departed from that organization that as powerhouse originators, he wanted to do something just a little bit different. Scott, you've got a very impressive resume. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how far back you want me to go, but I guess in the world of brokering, it goes back to starting at a bank, like probably what a lot of, loan officers, I'm going to say mortgage brokers. We talked about this, mortgage brokers, mortgage agents, loan officers. I know they all kind of intertwined between people. Try to use loan officers, but I was at a bank as a specialist, added like another term for a few years, which is kind of where I got my feet wet. Transitioned over with a few other top producing specialists in the broker channel here in Canada, and we opened up a pretty unique team. We brought in about 20 high producing mortgage agents, which became loan officers. And, we had a pretty good track record where I was helping manage a team of agents who probably funded $1 billion in business over the course of a 2.5 to a year period. So really got my feet wet in the brokering world, or that loan officer world here in Canada at the early start of my career after being at the bank, and really just transitioned a lot of those bank relationships into our brokering channel. I exited that company in December last year. The reason for the exit was I just had a little bit of a different mindset on where I want to take my future. I'm 36 right now. Been doing this since I was 24, 25, so over the last 10 years, and had a lot of different transitions, ups and downs, and entered this new chapter of my life right now where I'm trying to do things a little bit differently, right? I'm back brokering, which I wasn't doing as much when I was running a team. I was kind of itching to get back out and do some business. I love doing big deals. Anyone that knows me, I like doing some crazy deals. I like having fun in the industry. I thought that I might be a decent mentor to some of the next, mortgage or loan officers coming up. Thought I might be able to give them a few tips to help them grow their careers. And I thought if I had some success, I could do some cool things in the community, right? And I define our community at two communities. One is the one I live in. I want to do a little bit more for the people in our community, and the brokering community or the loan officer community. I want to do a little bit more and get back to that community. So this last transition last December to like the Westlake team, or wherever that the future holds, now I feel like I'm really empowered. I've got full autonomy to do things the way I want, which is live and die by the sword, right? So we're trying out a whole bunch of cool stuff right now, and hopefully I help some people listening on how they can grow their business.
Awesome, man. So you were managing. You're back on the origination side, and pretty impressive. You said you've grown 14 loan officers in the last year without even trying. Even though you're trying to focus on the origination, they just keep reaching out to you and want to be part of what you got going on, man. That's something special.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest compliment I've had. And I've got two really big compliments. One is just how happy our clients and referral sources are. I mean, that means a ton to me. I always tell people that's my goal, right? I set my goals based on how many people I can make happy, how many referral sources and clients I can really create a positive experience in their life. And that transitions into great volume all the time, right? When I was new in the business, it was all about the dollars and how much money I can make and how many deals I funded. And I transitioned that focus, which a little bit of it is just maturity. So that's one of the cool compliments I got in 2018. And then the other one is these 14 agents and growing, right? So anyone that knows me, I did a podcast, a year ago, and I was trying to create this $1 billion team again, but with the least amount of people, right? So my old company, we tried to create $1 billion team with as many agents as it would take, right, or loan officers as it would take for that origination. Then I kind of changed focus and said, no, I'm going to do this on my own. It might just be me. I'm going to go out and do that $1 billion or create the infrastructure with 2 or 3 people, right? But then a big compliment came as we started to have some success in the industry. You know, people started asking if they could be a part of the team. So some people I used to work with at the bank, some of my clients who had kids, you know, that were getting into the industry and needed some mentorship, people in the community. So those 14 people were 100% organic. We didn't really reach out to any of them. They all came to us. And I like it. You know, they're growing at pretty fast paces, and that's a really nice thing to see as well. It's a great compliment, like you mentioned.
Yeah, man, I love it, Scott. Like, man, thanks for sharing. So one of the things that you said is like, you know, more people want to do business with you, and dude, like success breeds success. And when people see that someone is doing well and having fun and in this business, because dude, mortgages is not a sexy business. And like in our local communities that we represent, like when they see us having fun and they see us doing things that are outside the box that aren't the standard, you know, I guess mortgage world perspective, or what people in this business create it to be or think it should be, people are attracted to that, and like they want to be a part of that because it's not sexy what we do. But we yeah, man, I couldn't agree more, dude. Like when we create an environment of fun and community, and we like incorporate our team and we go out there and do things outside the box, that grabs people's attention and they're attracted to do business with you. Like that's what they want. And dude, you hit another, like, dude, that's powerful. It's like less is more sometimes. Like I teach that a lot because you can, because I think we could all agree that like, and we teach this a lot, like Sean and I have this conversation on a consistent basis, and you can give me your thoughts on it as well. But like, there's so many business models in this industry, right? Like there's so many ways that you can make money. Yeah. Like you could be a one-man show and close 3 or 4 deals a month and like make a really good living, or you could, you know, have a team of people, or you could have a team of people and a large LO staff. You know, there's just so many ways to do it, right? And there's not a wrong or right way. It's like, what do you want? And I always tell loan officers, man, know who you are in this business and be that, right?
When you say that, that's 100% accurate, because I was redoing this website, right, when I started to make this transition. And the people that were creating my website, they were like, Scott, like, just tell us like who you are, what you're doing, and why people want to work with you. And I was like, wait a second, this wasn't like my business guru. This wasn't from a book I read. This is like a website developer saying, hey man, like, what is it that you do and why are people going to want to work with you? And it made me kind of, you know, have this, you know, introspective thought process about like, how do you answer those questions, right? And there's a million different ways of doing it, but it made me really focus on like, why am I in this industry? What do I want to achieve from this industry? You know, and what do I have to do to get there? So I 100% agree with you that just be honest with yourself. And if you know what you want to do and you go after it, you're going to have a lot more success than just trying to do a million different things. Because like, I'm that guy. Like, I've done commercial, I've done private, I've done residential, I've built homes, I've sold homes, I've done stuff in the community, I've sponsored events, I've done a crazy amount of things. And just now am I starting to see a lot of the benefits from getting more focused on, you know, the business I'm doing, the people I'm helping, and the other loan officers on my team, how I'm impacting their lives, right? And that all came from exactly what you said, narrowing that focus and be passionate about who you are and how you do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, dude, you hit the nail on the head. Like, we're speaking the same language. It's probably because we drink from the same cup, right?
Yeah,
like, we do. And we've got the experience. You know, you've been doing it for 10 years. I've been doing it for almost 16 years in February. And so, like, yeah, like, this is what we live in. So sometimes the challenge that Sean and I experience when talking to loan officers is like they're trying to be a jack of all trades, a master of none, and they don't have clarity on really what they want. And like, I don't want to be a cliche, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Like, really, like, people get clear on who you are and what you want in this business, because and you know what I've learned is it's different for everybody. And sometimes I can ask very direct and powerful questions to people and just kind of get enough feedback from them to say, hey, I can help you see what you want based on what you've just told me, right? Yeah. And I think that we have that experience and that ability to do that, because like a lot of times I can, like, we all have an evolution of this business that we've gone through. And I remember the days when I was a jack of all trades, master of none, one-man show, doing it on my own. And I also remember having a team that was, very big and large, and I like that too, but that's a different business model. And I have found a real comfortable spot somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah,
because I got real clear on that's not what I want, right? I don't want that many more pain in the asses in my business every day, but I also want to close a good amount of volume. So in the way that we get clear on those things is what do you want? And a lot of times it's what kind of freedom do you want for your family? What type of money do you want to legitimately make? Because some people are no, man, I'm good at $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be awesome for me. And then some are no, I want to make $500,000 a year. I have people hit me up and say, dude, I want to make $1 million. Okay, let's map that out and show them what you would have to do. Because sometimes we say we want something, right? And you could probably relate to this, but I see people say, well, I want this, but they're not willing to put in the work to get it.
100%, right? And when you say that, right, I remember when I was going to try to grow a team out, people were surprised. Well, I wasn't even trying to grow a team out now, but the team that I'm growing out right now to a certain capacity, people are always a little surprised that they're all fairly new loan officers, right? And they're well, why aren't you going out and recruiting the top loan officers in your community? And I said, because that's not that doesn't get me going. I'm not excited to do that. That's what I'm doing. I do broker and I enjoy it, but I don't want to sit in a room with another 50, other top producing agents. It doesn't make me happy, right? They're doing their thing. They're having their success, and I appreciate and respect what they're doing. And I'm friends with a lot of those individuals, but that's not who I am right now. So when it comes to someone who wants to work with me, I want them to be new. I want them to be moldable, and I want to help them with their careers. That's just a different part of my life right now, which is giving back to the community that I'm a part of, which is the loan officer, origination, brokering community, right? So I'm not trying to build it through $50-60 million producers. I'm doing it from people that are going from literally zero until I try to get guys from 0 to 10 million. And then exactly what you said, I realized not everyone needs to go from 0 to 10 million in a week, a month, a year. People have different goals. They do it because they're looking for, more freedom, right? Or they're doing it because they want to create a better life for themselves. There's a lot of reasons, like you said, people are doing this. And so who am I to tell someone how to do it? As long as whatever they're doing it, with a good sense of pride, and they're giving back to their clients and referral sources. I just don't want to see people that say, well, I'm going to do it part-time because I want to make a little bit of extra cash, but then they're doing a disservice to the brokering community because, those are the individuals that are sometimes giving us a bad name when they're not picking up their phone. They're not educating their clients properly. That's the only part of the business I really despise, right? The people that aren't giving back what the community's giving them. So
it's fantastic that you're so clear on what you want and what makes you happy.
Yeah,
because the other thing that Kenneth and I struggle with a lot is, man, as loan officers, so many times we're comparing ourselves to everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really hard when KT and I each have 16 years of experience here and somebody else has 3 years of experience to be like, well, I do or don't want to be where that person's at. I mean, they haven't taken the lumps that we've taken. They haven't had the experience that we've taken. They haven't had time to ask themselves where they want to be. I mean, you grew an incredibly large company, and you realized that you like being in the lending environment. And man, that serves you. That's the biggest question that people need to ask themselves is what's going to serve me and what's going to serve my happiness. You'd mentioned that you, before we started on the call, you just congratulations, your first child, 4-month-old little boy.
Really?
And I mean, you look incredibly good for the amount of sleep you're probably getting right now, Scott. I mean, it's,
you know what, my wife, I told you guys my wife's American, right? She's from Madison, Wisconsin. And so I spent a lot of time out in the U.S. myself. And what's funny is she went home a bit early to see her family. So I'm actually flying solo this week. So I probably look like I've got a little bit more energy than I normally do. I've got dogs and a kid, right? So I'm home alone right now. So I'm a little bit more fresh than you normally get.
That's good, man. Everybody needs to recharge those batteries.
Yeah.
So has opening your own business and stepping away from managing so many people like you were before, has that allowed you to be more present at home now?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the changes I saw coming in my life. I mean, everything from being, single. I was playing hockey on the East Coast of Canada when I was getting my education, to being, a single guy living in the city as a loan officer, to, getting engaged, getting married, and having kids, right? And those are just transitions that naturally happen in people's lives. And I think your business at times has to adjust, whether it's for your family life or your family life adjusts for your business. I made it a priority that I wanted to spend time with my family, and I do. But, there's definitely some sacrifices that are made as business gets moving. So it's just a balance, right? Everyone has to figure out what balance works for them and how they want to go about doing their business. I'm super fortunate that I'm a big advocate for investing in infrastructure. So as much as it's fun to go out and do a party or do an event and look like you're doing all these really cool and fun things within the industry, behind all that fun is a ton of hard work, a ton of structure, and a really solid infrastructure, right? So, in 2018, when I made this transition to grow this team and have some time with my family, I brought in a really experienced, what I would consider, some people might consider like an assistant. I brought in what I think is like a really good senior underwriter and fulfillment officer, right? So I've got someone that's doing a lot of my deal flow and supporting certain activities that I know I struggle with, and I know that would take away some of my freedom as well, home time and business time. And so that investment in infrastructure allows me to go out and do some of the activities that aren't, brokering related with the family. And it also allows the business to succeed because I'm just focusing on what I'm good at.
And like you, my wife and I had our first child when I was 36. Yeah. And I've had a lot of life-changing experiences, but nothing in my world has been quite like having children. Yeah. But it was also nice, man. You got those years of dating your wife or playing hockey and doing those things. And, for me, having kids a little bit later in life served me better because as, my wife and I have a date night tonight. I'll probably be home at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And, but man, I don't want for those days of going out, even on Friday nights, man, we have a babysitter. There's a good chance we're home by 10 o'clock at night because I've done all those things and it works well for me right now. So glad you've been able to get that little extra rest. And you have them in ice skates yet or?
No. I mean, you'd think here in Canada, we have them like on skates when they're born, right? But in fact, I just saw my son in a Packers jersey yesterday when he was in Wisconsin. So I was a little concerned about what kind of mentorship's going on when he's in the U.S., but it's all good. I'll get some skates on him in the next little while.
Yeah. The only thing better than the Packers jersey.
No, don't say it. Don't say it.
Better is a Cowboys sweater or jersey. So, yeah.
It's all good.
It used to be America's team. It's okay. But man, those Packers are going through some restructuring. They just fired their head coach.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
going to be some interesting times.
Yeah.
So, you had said a quote earlier. You touched on the topic, but when we were again discussing before you got on, you're setting your goals now on satisfied clients, not volume.
Yeah.
So, everyone listening here, set your goals on satisfied clients, not volume. Man, that's a powerful statement. And just, one of the things that we talk about in coaching and next level with our clients a lot is dollars follow value. Absolutely. And satisfied clients will bring you more dollars. So, just tell me a little bit more about, the plan there. What do you do when somebody comes to you? What can a loan officer take away and say, man, this podcast was awesome. Scott told me exactly what he does to have his level of service somewhere different than what the market's delivering. And how do you do and execute that?
Okay. So, the first thing we did is we had to set a goal, right? So when we got back into kind of brokering this year from running a team to kind of, being more involved in that origination process, we set the goal of satisfied customers and also satisfied referral sources, right? So those two go really hand in hand, and we just, when I was talking to my team here and my infrastructure that we put in place, we just said, let's just make sure that we take care of clients. I was confident I could go out. I've got a certain amount of activities I do that drive in that origination, and we can touch on some of that as well if you want. But, I just said, let's make sure that every time we work with a client, they're going to build that lifetime currency. They're going to refer us another client. They're going to introduce us to a family or friend. What I want to be able to text a client or referral source or email them or call them and make sure that they're always going to be an advocate, right? They're a part of the team once we do business with them. But, you can just say that, but you need to implement, like I said before, like an infrastructure. You need to have some systems in place, right? So, for us, it really comes down to communication. So when we get business, we make sure we acknowledge the referral source. So every single week, we're acknowledging all of our referral sources, whether it's a gift card, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a text. We do a lot of things to promote that referral source and let the client know that referral source did a great job, whether it's getting them into that property, the price point they purchased is that. We do a lot of things to really make sure that referral source knows that we appreciate the business and we keep them in the loop with that process, right? So we acknowledge the referral source really, really quick, and we maintain that relationship, and we treat them just like we do with our clients. When we start communicating with our clients, it's really important to us that I introduce them to my senior underwriter and fulfillment officer and to myself, so they've got an additional point of contact. And if needed, depending upon where I am in the world, whether I'm on vacation, whether I'm busy with other files, I'm working on helping out my team, I might even bring in another newer agent on my team, which is a learning opportunity for them to see how I handle business. But it's also another point of contact, so our clients feel like they're not just working with one individual, but they've got a team, right? Now, that doesn't always work for everyone if you're an individual, right? So you might not be able to implement that same infrastructure, but you can take away the same principles in terms of how you're going to communicate with a client, setting the right expectations. Like, do you work on the weekends and the evenings? Are you Mr. 24/7? Or do you have, a specific time you're in the office answering calls and addressing emails? So that whole communication aspect is really, really, really important. And just setting up some structure in terms of when you get a lead or you get an opportunity, how are you going to communicate with the referral source? How are you going to communicate with the client? Setting expectations on who does what, whether you're an individual or you have a team in place. And then, just following through on the commitments that you make to that client, right? Whether it's you're going to communicate to them every single day and provide them an update, or you're going to provide them with a weekly update, right? And if you have any plans or implementation for funded business, do you send a gift to every client, right? Or do you do that every now and then? We send gifts out to every single client we find, right? And so, it's just setting the expectation with how that client interaction is going to work with your office and who's going to communicate what, and living up to the expectations, right? And if it's something that you don't think you can take on, is it better to refer it out, or is it better to stumble through it? So it's just being very clear with yourself, right? Like, what are you good at? How are you going to communicate properly? And then tracking, right? We talked a little bit about how I've been implementing some new technology for our CRM per se, to figure out how we can communicate better with our clients. As we're getting busier, I need additional support, right? I sometimes forget about the person that we pre-approved 3 weeks ago because we did 20 of them that day, right? And that's tough. And we have that goal of providing exceptional customer service. We'd call them like those wow moments at our office, like creating those wow experiences. And so now we need to use a little bit of CRM to kind of say, remind myself, like, hey, Scott, you pre-approved this client 2 weeks ago. Has there been any communication since that original conversation? And if so, who's going to handle that communication and what's it going to look like? So just creating some structure around how you handle those client relationships. But the number one takeaway point, anyone that's listening, is just communication. People are buying a home, they're refinancing. It's such an impactful moment in their life, and they just want to feel that they've got love and support around them, right? And if you can be that support system for them during that process, you're already a big part of the way through that obstacle.
And it's refreshing to hear you speak, because this is exactly a lot of the things that we went through as we grew our businesses, and figuring out those questions that you asked, like, hey, like, I pre-qualified this person. How do I need to create a workflow or a trigger or something to remind me or someone on my team to follow up with that, and then simplify it by making it part of the process where it automatically happens without you having to do anything. Once it's built out. The problem is nobody really wants to dive that deep and specific for a couple of different reasons. One, their volume isn't where they need to be to really justify putting in all of that extra work. But when you start getting to a level of doing a lot of loans, you have to do those things and put in the work and like build out a process. Process, by the way, I say process.
Yeah, I get that.
So I say process, but to build out a process so that they can, so you can get more done and be as efficient as you possibly can. But man, I want to hit on something that you said that I really agree with, and that's like every client that we work with and every realtor that we work with is $1 million customer.
Yeah.
And it means that they will either buy $1 million worth of real estate to us over a lifetime, or they will refer it to us, right? And man, when I look at real estate agents, like, man, I ain't kidding, dude. Like, I'm like, yep, that's a $100,000 a year agent. That's a $50,000 a year agent. That's a $150,000 agent. Yeah. That's how I think of them, right? Because that's how much money they will make me per year. And so like, I'll treat them accordingly. Yeah. And, but yeah, man, like, they are our clients and realtor partners. That's our sales force. And then when we have happy clients and we've taken them through an experience, because that's what it is. Because like, man, closing loans on time and being good at customer service makes you a zero as a loan officer, in my opinion, because you're supposed to do that shit, man. You're supposed to do that anyway, right?
Well, and you know what? Some of those newer agents, right, when we talk about like investing in infrastructure and the systems and stuff, and maybe they don't have the deal flow to justify it. You know, the one thing I tell those individuals is they got to look at the opportunity, especially for purchases, right? Every time they do a purchase, there's going to be, at least in Canada, we've got a listing agent, we've got a buying agent. There's going to be a lawyer, solicitor on the deal. You've got the client. They could have a husband, a wife, a child, a friend. They've got a company they work at. And you start dissecting that deal and you go, wait a second, there's not one opportunity or one lifetime client. There's multiple different revenue streams that you can attach yourself on if you ask the right questions and you create a good enough experience to allow yourself or be privileged enough to ask for those other business opportunities, right? And so, you know, if they want to go from that one deal to 10 deals or whatever that goal is in a month, a quarter, or a year, the best thing they can do is just do such a good job with that client that they have earned the right to ask for all the other business that individual is attached to. And now with reviews, social media, you know, Instagram, Facebook, you know, we set a new goal for ourselves to be the most reviewed team in our local market. And maybe we can push that to be the most reviewed team in Canada. And we have no reviews, by the way. But the reason why I set that goal is because I started texting a few of my clients, right? And we're like, wait, we've got 1,000 plus clients, or, you know, we've got all these 1,000 plus referral sources. Why don't we just ask them to do a review for us, right? And the cool thing is every time we ask, they do it because we've earned that. We've built up that trust. And now I expect them, when I ask them to do something, that they're going to do it. And so there's so many avenues these days for agents to go from one deal, or loan officers from one deal to whatever number that is that they see fit if they do the right activities and set up the right processes.
So Scott, we've done the reviews. We are fortunate enough to be the most reviewed lender in my market here.
There you go.
That's only because I'm up there, Scott.
So KT is the most reviewed lender of the entire two in East Texas. But one thing that we've done when we realized that we've been really busy and haven't gotten done the follow-up, the calling that's needed in addition to the emails and texts that go out, is, man, we've sometimes done a contest. If you got 1,000 people, like a great percentage of those is going to give you a review. Man, go spend a few $100 on an iPad and say, hey, anybody that leaves me a review between now and 25 days from now, send some emails and texts and maybe a few slide dials that go out through the course of that time. Yeah. Everybody gets entered in that. It'll be the best few $100 you ever spent on getting those reviews for yourself.
I might give away some Leaf tickets, maybe, if you're a hockey fan.
Yeah.
Tickets. Yeah, Dallas Cowboy tickets. If you're this, especially.
I think we can edit that portion of the Cowboys out.
Cut that out of the call.
Hey, so one other thing, Scott, that you said. So you said communication is the most important thing that a lender can take away in listening to this. But you said something a little more specific inside of there. You said how you're going to communicate, whether it's weekly, daily, and to deliver on that. Yeah. So that is even more important, to make a very firm agreement with your clients on how that's going to be. We have a really good friend. He's part of our Summit Club and our private coaching, Jeff Lagoni. He was actually on the podcast a few weeks ago. Yeah. And man, Jeff used to be a 24/7 guy all the time. Right. He slept for like 2 hours. He'd work till 7, 8 at night, sit down with his family and his son and have dinner for a little bit. Wife goes to bed, and then he'd work till 2 a.m, get back up at 5 or 6 and start it all over again. Yeah. And his son came in one day and just, man, like his kid was going to closings with him, everything, and he just wanted a little bit more time. And Jeff really transformed and reshaped his business. And I think the first thing he did, I might be wrong on the days, but I know he started taking 2 days a week. At 5 o'clock, he made an agreement with his son. I'm not going to pick up my phone anymore. It's done. It's you and me time from here forward. And the funny thing is that he was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen in my business? What are they going to do? They're going to call somebody else. When he told his agents and he told his clients and his partners, hey, listen, you can get me on Monday and Wednesday. You're not going to get me after 5 on Tuesday and Thursday, because that's the time I'm going to spend with my son. Yeah. His business grew. They respected him more. He was just clear on what he was going to do, how he was going to deliver it. And my God, if somebody doesn't want to do business with me because I want to spend time with my family, you know what, we weren't the right fit anyway.
Well, you know what's funny is like one of the best referral. Like I always believe in mentors, right? So I kind of did what I would call like I always do these like little Trojan horses where I'll try to figure out ways to get more business, and I do it through like a very clever way that people don't really understand. I'm looking for business. So for example, I used to go out and talk to a couple of the top realtors in the marketplace, and I'd ask them to be my mentor. At the time I could pull it off. I was a bit younger. I was newer to the industry. Just say, hey, I'd love it if you were my mentor. And they all kind of knew that I was doing business. We had, other family relationship or mutual contact in the community. And so they were kind of happy that I'd asked them to be my mentor. But what I was trying to do is I wanted their business, right? But I need to earn it. I need to get in there somehow. So I had a few really strong mentors that were top realtors in the community, and they became my mentors, which translated to becoming my friends, which translated to becoming business partners. And now we just have this amazing relationship. And what a few of them told me, because they were top producing realtors and they had what would seem to be a pretty glamorous life, is that they always told me to tell people when you go on vacation, don't hide from the vacation. It's like you said, like people are afraid that they're not going to be able to do business when they travel, or, past 5 o'clock if they put their phone down. And what these top realtors taught me was that tell your clients, tell your referral sources a little bit about you, tell the story, because it makes you interesting. It makes you someone people want to do business with. You're not a robot. You do have these emotions, and it makes you a better person to engage with. But going back to the topic of how we communicate, I think that what people have to start doing a better job of is you got to just communicate on that initial conversation with your client or referral source and say, how do you want to communicate? Or this is how I communicate. Does it work for you? And if you can set up that initial conversation where I say, listen, if you really need anything urgent, text me. I got my phone on me all the time. Text me, and I can usually send a text back within a few minutes, right? But they know that, most of my clients know I've got a little boy, or I play sports, or I golf, or whatever I do. And they kind of know how I work and how they work. And a lot of the busy clients and executives, they don't really want to talk to me that much anyways, right? They should get it done. And so those guys, if I put in my get it done category, we talk when they need me. I've got my first-time home buyers that need the hand-holding, and that's a different conversation and a different type of communication and how we're going to interact. So it's all just setting it up,
Man, you've been a wealth of knowledge today, Scott. I really appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Hey, if somebody is listening and they want to get a hold of you, they're an agent that would fit who you're growing out right now, and man, how'd they go about doing that so they can get in contact with you?
Yeah. Easiest way right now, just an email, scott@thewestlaketeam.com. Email's best. Coming soon, we've got this really cool website we're launching. So in the near future, just Google my name and that should pop up, and all my contact details are on the website. But email's good for now. And I tell everyone this, whether it's someone that wants to be a part of the team, or it's someone that just needs a little bit of support, right? I don't mind giving back to the community that's done a lot of good stuff for me. So if someone just needs a different perspective on how they're doing things, I always learn, like from you two on this call. I've learned a lot from you, as I'm hopefully you guys pick up a few tips and tricks that I do as well. So, hit me up if you need some help, and I'll give it my best.
Well, as always, y'all, we appreciate you joining us. KT, my brother, thank you.
It's always good seeing you, man.
Too. And
especially when I can see you and I can shut this thing down here in a minute, and I won't have to see you again for a little while. That's right.
We want to get back to everybody listening as well too. So hey, if you would like a good hour strategy call with us about growing your business, you're stuck in a spot that you need help getting out of, please reach out to us. You can go to our website. There's links in your email. Download our podcast. We are here to help you.
And the easiest way to reach out to us is to text the word next level to 36260. That's our app. Like, we've got a really awesome app. It's got all of our links, all of our pages, all of our Facebook pages. It's got everything in one centralized location. You text the word next level to 36260.
Yeah, so if you've enjoyed this podcast with Scott and you want to hear everything else and all the rest of the podcasts we put out, all of that is on our app too. I mean, sometimes, Kenneth, like, you hit a home run. Sometimes you do.
Everyone's
I'm taking that app idea, boys. I'm going to figure that out and get someone. I'm going to implement that.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great app for your mortgage business too. Game changer. So
love it.
Awesome.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate you all. Have a good day.
Thank you, man. Thanks, Scott.